From AAA titles to quirky indie games, we've got you covered. Yes, this is SwitchWatch. How you doing, everyone? I'm James Zamero, and we're back with more bargains. Yes, we go scouring the Nintendo Switch eShop store so that you don't have to. Covering the UK, US, and EU, we find and surface the games that we think are worth you picking up. And this week, we've got 10 for you. And to maximize those savings even further, head over to www.switchwatch.net and use our 5% code SwitchWatch5 in order to receive 5% off of Nintendo Switch eShops. It covers most regions and will get you that extra 5% off. So without further ado, let's jump in and take a look at this week's deals. So first up, it's Streets of Rogue. This is a roguelite that features fast-paced action and is set in a city instead of the usual dungeon synonymous with these type of games. It looks a bit like Enter the Gungeon, but this is all about choice. There are 24 classes, most of them unlocked, as you start with just 6 and you can essentially be whoever you want to be and tackle the game however you want to. It leads to some really intriguing runs, and when you throw in multiplayer, that's where this game really does shine. You can play with up to 3 of your friends, making this a really good pick for a party, and actually, it's one of those where it's pretty obvious what to do when you pick it up. It's got some humour to it, and yet there's still enough challenge and intriguity to keep you coming back for more. I definitely highly recommend checking this one out, and it has a very healthy 50% off right now. Next up, it's the fantastic Double Cross. Now, this one's been out for quite some time, and if it missed you, if you got the Switch after or whatever and you didn't play it, then you've been missing out. This is an action-adventure platformer that feels like Mega Man with a little bit of Sonic thrown in. It takes place at Rift headquarters, an interdimensional police force. Think sort of Men in Black. The story is one big whodunit full of bonkers aliens from different galaxies, including my favourite, a bodybuilder, Brussels sprout dude. Yes, it's the Muscles from Brussels. You play as Zara Sinclair, and controlling her is nice and tight. She jumps around using a nifty proton slinger, and I love that this game is set across 3 worlds, each of them feeling really unique, and the look and the sound of this one is spot on. You really can't go wrong at £3.59 in the UK or $3.99 in the US or EU. It's a hell of a game at this price. Road to Bullhalla is a stylish and fiendishly difficult rhythm puzzle game that uses the music excellently to work that rhythm into its gameplay. If you remember the Amiga classic Marble Madness, then this will be familiar. Probably showing my age a bit there. It's a super simple game, as I find most good puzzle games are, to be fair, and it's presented really nicely with a bunch of personality and that one more try catchy gameplay to it. Next up, this one's a bit of a gem. It's Blue Fire. It's an action-adventure game with platforming, and it's in 3D world. In this one, you travel through the perished world of Penumbra to explore unique areas filled with diverse enemies, platforming challenges, quest collectibles, and more. This is the debut from Roby Studios, which is impressive, as this is a polished game with a few minor issues. Now with this one, what I find is it's a bit of a slow starter. You have to stick with it at the beginning, but if you do, there's a lot to enjoy here. It currently has 60% off in the UK, US, and EU, and it's well worth checking out. Alright, up next it's Green Hell. Now this is a relentlessly brutal survival game that never takes its foot off of your neck. Set in an open world rainforest, the horror of this landscape sets upon you from every corner. Bites and infections can take hold of you. Jaguars and other creatures are all too keen to sink their teeth into you. And as you need to gather the bare essentials to survive, the rainforest punishes you just for that. And that's before you get to the tribal inhabitants who are not too pleased to see you at all. You'll most certainly fail a few times before you realise that you have the right components to make the required tool, weapon or antidote. It's equally frustrating and very rewarding. There are many mechanics at play here, and yet they are woven together well with a decent story as well. The Switch port is solid, it looks really nice, and perhaps the only downside is the mapping of controls from a keyboard and mouse to a controller, which are a little bit awkward. Aside from that, this is a harsh yet satisfying survival game that is solid and has a very chunky 90% off in the UK and EU. Nobody Saves the World is a meaty action RPG with around 30 hours or so of fun grinding and exploring to be enjoyed. It's got a great art style and soundtrack, but most importantly, the controls and action are really well done. The transformation mechanic that sees you unlock and use lots of different animal forms is sweet, but I will say it can get eventually a little bit repetitive with such a long play time for this type of game, but don't let that put you off. It is a real gem, especially if you get its sense of humour. Humanity is enslaved by an AI, and the twist is, yes, you guessed it, you are the AI. In this game, you exploit puny little humans to extract power and build your own empire. You'll have to keep track of them to make sure they don't succumb to exhaustion and hunger, although the weakest ones can always be thrown into the bioreactor. In other words, this is a resource management sim with roguelike elements, dramatic plot, and abundance of pop culture references. It's one of those games that starts out and you think, yeah, this isn't too bad, and before you know it, you're up at 2 in the morning, just carrying on playing and getting frustrated, but somehow not stopping. Now, I'm a fan of the Jackbox Party games. I love board games, I love playing games with other people here, and I do like the idea of having a game that is accessible to those who typically don't like video games. So regularly when we get family round or friends jumping into these games where each person uses their phone to answer questions, draw or do various silly things. It's a nice way to spend a few hours and have some laughs. Each of the packs has a nice collection of games to pick from, and with 40% off, it's a nice one to add to your repertoire. Spaceland is a nice introduction to the strategy genre. Battles are quite short and everything is very accessible. That's not to say it's boring, there's a light story, characters to recruit and strategy on hand, but it's distilled down to its kind of core elements, if you know what I mean. Taking control of a small squad of Space Marines and picking up different characters along the way is a nice, easygoing game that is certainly best enjoyed in short handheld bursts. Now in this one, platforming and storytelling literally go hand in hand on a journey about much more than love. Along the way, you meet fascinating characters on your quest to complete the Imperfect Circle. New partners bring unique abilities and their own personality to roll with. In this 3 to 5 hour adventure, full of ups and downs but always playful and rewarding, the Circle learns about itself and you along with it. This is an interesting mix of puzzle platforming and storytelling in a laid-back setting. Alright, I'm cheating for those of you that are eagle-eyed. This is the 11th game, and it's because it's such a good price that I couldn't miss it, even though we have featured it not too long ago. On sale now in the US only at the moment, but in this one, if you don't know it, Immortals Fenyx Rising, you play as Fenyx, a beautiful open world that is homage to Greek mythology. Your quest takes you on a long journey in which you must harness the power of the gods in your fight against the dark forces. You can tame animals, collect resources, and glide across the world. This game was not shy about borrowing from Zelda Breath of the Wild, so it's fitting to play on the Switch. And there you have it, folks. 11 games that we think are real bargains at the moment on the Switch. And talking about bargains, don't forget to head over to SwitchWatch.net to get that 5% off of a Nintendo eShop card. Just why not? Now, I also just want to take a quick moment to thank all of our producers. We really do appreciate you. So thank you so much for the support. And for everybody here, thanks so much for stopping by. I hope to see you again. We'll be back tomorrow with Jordan's physical release roundup. And I'll be back next weekend. Have a great week, everyone. Take care.